Dr. Lisa Wong had been driving through the desert for 3 hours when she finally saw the small sign pointing toward what looked like nothing more than a maintenance road. Her GPS had stopped working 20 miles back, and now she was following handwritten directions on a piece of paper that seemed to lead her deeper into the middle of nowhere. The call had come on a Tuesday morning while she was having her coffee and reviewing lab reports. A government official with a calm voice had asked if she would be interested in a consulting job, something about examining unusual biological samples. The pay was excellent, and they needed someone with her background in studying unknown life forms. Lisa had spent the last 10 years working with strange organisms found in deep ocean trenches and remote caves. She thought she had seen everything nature could throw at her. But as she pulled up to what appeared to be a small office building, surrounded by tall fences, she realized this job might be different. The building looked ordinary enough from the outside. Gray concrete walls, small windows, and a parking lot with only a few cars. But Lisa noticed things that seemed odd. Fence was much higher than it needed to be for a simple research facility. There were cameras everywhere, pointing in all directions. And when she walked up to the front door, it didn't have a normal handle. Instead, there was a small black scanner next to it. Security guard opened the door before she could knock. He was a middle-aged man with kind eyes, but a serious expression. "Dr. Wong, I'm Officer Thompson. They're waiting for you inside." The moment Lisa stepped through the door, she felt like she had entered a completely different world. The hallway was longer than the building had looked from outside, stretching far into the distance with bright white lights overhead. The walls were made of some kind of smooth metal, and her footsteps echoed strangely as she walked. "Here?" Officer Thompson asked as they walked down the corridor. "Yes, and I have to say, this place is much bigger than it looks from outside." Thompson smiled slightly. "It's because most of it is underground. We're heading down to level 3 now." They passed several doors, each one marked with numbers and letters that didn't make much sense to Lisa. B47, C12, D09. Some doors had red lights next to them, others had green. A few had no lights at all. She wanted to ask what was behind the doors, but something about the atmosphere told her to keep her questions to herself for now. The elevator ride down felt like it took forever. Lisa watched the numbers change. B1, B2, B3, B4. They finally stopped at B7. When the doors opened, she saw another long hallway, but this one was different. The walls here were thick glass, and she could see into rooms filled with equipment she didn't recognize. "Dr. Wong, welcome to our facility." A woman in a white lab coat approached them. She had short gray hair and wore glasses that made her eyes look larger than they were. "I'm Dr. Patricia Holmes, the head of biological research here. Thank you for coming on such short notice." Lisa shook her hand. "Thank you for having me. I have to admit, I'm curious about what kind of biological samples you need help with." Dr. Holmes smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. All will be explained shortly. "First, let me show you 2 laboratories, see where you'll be working." As they walked through the underground facility, Lisa noticed how quiet everything was. She could hear the soft hum of machinery and the occasional beep of electronic equipment, but no voices, no footsteps, except their own. It felt like they were the only people in the entire place. "How many people work here?" she asked. "We have a small but dedicated team," Dr. Holmes replied, without really answering the question. "Most of our work is highly classified, so we keep our staff to a minimum." They passed several more laboratories, each one visible through thick glass walls. Lisa saw scientists in white coats working with equipment that looked far more advanced than anything she had seen in her own research. Some of the machines were so unusual that she couldn't even guess what they might be used for. Finally, they reached Laboratory C. It was a spacious room with several workstations, each equipped with microscopes, computers, and various testing equipment. But what caught Lisa's attention immediately was a table in the center of the room, covered with small glass containers. "These are the samples we'd like you to examine," Dr. Holmes said, gesturing toward the table. "We've been studying them for several months, but we need a fresh perspective from someone with your expertise." Lisa approached the table and looked at the containers. Inside each one was what appeared to be tissue samples, but they were unlike anything she had ever seen. They had a slight shimmer to them, almost like they were glowing with their own light. The color was somewhere between silver and blue, and they seemed to pulse gently, as if they were still alive. "What kind of organism did these come from?" Lisa asked, picking up one of the containers for a closer look. Dr. Holmes hesitated for a moment. "That's what we're hoping you can help us determine. We believe they're from a species we've never encountered before." Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. In her years of research, she had studied organisms from the deepest parts of the ocean and the most remote places on Earth, but these samples looked like nothing that could have evolved. "On this planet? Where were they found?" she asked. "I'm afraid that information is classified," Dr. Holmes replied. "For now, we just need you to focus on understanding their biological properties." As Lisa set up her equipment and began her initial examination, she couldn't shake the feeling that there was much more to this story than she was being told. The samples were fascinating, but they raised more questions than they answered. The cellular structure was completely unlike anything in Earth's biology, and the way they seemed to respond to light was extraordinary. She had been working for about 2 hours when she heard something that made her stop what she was doing. It was a voice, soft and melodic, coming from somewhere nearby. At first she thought it might be coming from the ventilation system, or perhaps from another laboratory. But as she listened more carefully, she realized the voice was speaking in English. It sounded like it was coming from the room next to Laboratory C. Lisa looked around, but Dr. Holmes had left her alone to work, and there was no one else in the lab. She tried to focus on her samples, but the voice continued, and she found herself straining to hear what it was saying. "Please," the voice said, so quietly that Lisa wasn't sure she had heard it correctly. "Someone help me." Lisa stood up from her workstation and moved closer to the wall that separated Laboratory C from the adjacent room. The voice was definitely coming from there, and it sounded like a young woman in distress. She knew she was supposed to stay in Laboratory C and focus on her work, but something about the voice made her feel like she had to investigate. She looked around the lab until she found a door she hadn't noticed before. It was marked with a sign that read, "Authorized personnel only," but it wasn't locked. Taking a deep breath, Lisa opened the door and stepped through into a small corridor. At the end of the corridor was another door, this one made of thick glass. Through the glass, she could see into what appeared to be some kind of containment room. What she saw there changed everything she thought she knew about the world. Her skin had the same silver-blue shimmer as the tissue samples she had been studying, and her hair was a brilliant silver color that seemed to move on its own. She was sitting on a simple bed, wearing plain white clothing, and she looked tired and sad. When the young woman saw Lisa through the glass, her eyes widened with hope. She stood up quickly and walked to the glass wall, placing her hand against it. "You're not one of them," she said, her voice clear despite the barrier between them. "You're new here." Lisa stared in amazement. This was clearly not a human being. But she was speaking perfect English and seemed to understand everything that was happening around her. "Who are you?" Lisa whispered. The young woman smiled sadly. "My name is Kira. I've been trapped here for 6 months. They keep taking pieces of me, studying me like I'm some kind of specimen, but I'm not a specimen. I'm a person, just like you." Lisa realized that the tissue samples she had been studying weren't from some unknown species found in a remote location. They were from this young woman, this person who was being held against her will. "Open the door, human," Kira said, her voice filled with desperate hope. "Set me free." Lisa stared at Kira through the glass wall, her mind racing with questions. The young woman on the other side looked so human, yet her shimmering skin and silver hair made it clear she was something else entirely. "Something not from this world. I have to get back to the lab," Lisa whispered, glancing nervously down the corridor. "Someone might come looking for me," Kira nodded, understanding the danger. "Be careful. Dr. Reynolds doesn't like it when people ask too many questions." Lisa hurried back to Laboratory C, her hands shaking as she tried to focus on the tissue samples. But now she knew the truth. These weren't samples from some distant planet or deep ocean creature. They were pieces of Kira, taken from her while she was trapped in that room. For the rest of the day, Lisa could barely concentrate on her work. Every time she looked at the samples under the microscope, she saw Kira's face. She saw the sadness in her eyes and heard the hope in her voice when she had asked to be set free. When Dr. Reynolds came to check on her progress, Lisa had to work hard to appear normal. "The samples are fascinating," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. "The cellular structure is unlike anything I've seen before." "Indeed," Dr. Reynolds replied, studying Lisa's face carefully. "We've been making remarkable discoveries. These samples could change everything we know about biology and medicine." Lisa wanted to ask where the samples had come from, but she knew that would raise suspicion. Instead, she nodded and continued her work until it was time to leave. That night, Lisa couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about Kira and what she had said. The young woman had called herself a person, not a creature or an alien. She had feelings, fears, and hopes, just like any human being. Yet she was being kept like a laboratory animal. The next morning, Lisa returned to the facility with a plan. She would try to speak with Kira again, but this time she would be more careful. She needed to understand what was really happening in this place. During her lunch break, when most of the staff had gone to the cafeteria, Lisa made her way back to the containment area. Kira was sitting by the window, looking out at what appeared to be an artificial view of the sky projected on a screen. "You came back," Kira said, turning toward the glass when she heard Lisa's footsteps. "I had to," Lisa replied. "I need to understand what's happening here. Who are you really?" Kira smiled sadly. "I'm from a place that exists between the spaces in your reality. My people are explorers. We travel through different dimensions, learning about other worlds and their inhabitants." Lisa felt her scientific mind struggling to accept what she was hearing, but the evidence was right in front of her. "How did you end up here?" "My ship had problems while I was exploring your dimension. When I tried to land to make repairs, your military shot me down. I was hurt and confused, and they brought me here instead of helping me." "How long have you been here?" "6 months," Kira said, her voice growing quieter. "At first, they just wanted to study me from a distance. But then Dr. Reynolds realized that my body could heal itself in ways that human bodies cannot. He became obsessed with understanding how my cells work." Lisa felt sick to her stomach. "The samples I've been studying come from me," Kira finished. "They take a little bit more each week. They tell me it doesn't hurt, but it does. Each time it takes longer for me to heal." Lisa looked at Kira more carefully and noticed that the young woman did look weaker than she had the day before. Her shimmering skin seemed less bright, and there were dark circles under her eyes. "Are you sick?" Lisa asked. "I'm dying," Kira said simply. "My body wasn't meant to survive in your dimension for this long. The air here is different, the gravity is different, and the constant stress of being trapped is wearing me down." Lisa pressed her hand against the glass. "There has to be something we can do." "There is," Kira said, placing her hand on the glass opposite Lisa's. "My ship is somewhere in this facility. If I could reach it, I could return to my own dimension and heal, but I don't know where they've hidden it." "I'll help you find it," Lisa said without thinking. Kira's eyes filled with hope. "You would do that for me, even though you barely know me? You're a person," Lisa said firmly. "You don't deserve to be treated like this." Over the next few days, Lisa began to explore the facility more carefully. She used her security clearance to access areas she hadn't seen before, always making sure to have a good reason for being there. She told people she was looking for additional equipment or trying to understand the facility's layout for her research. During one of these explorations, she met Officer Thompson again. He was standing guard outside a restricted area, looking tired and troubled. "Everything okay?" Lisa asked. Thompson looked around to make sure no one was listening, then spoke quietly. "I've been working here for 2 years, and I've never seen anything like what they're doing to that girl." Lisa's heart jumped. "What girl? The one they keep in the containment area?" "I know I'm not supposed to talk about it, but it doesn't feel right. She's not some dangerous creature. She's just a young woman who wants to go home." Lisa realized that Thompson might be an ally. "Have you seen her ship?" Thompson nodded slowly. "It's in Hangar 7, 3 levels down." They've been studying it, trying to figure out how it works. "But the thing is, I think it's been repairing itself. It looks almost ready to fly." This was the information Lisa needed. She began to form a plan, but she knew it would be dangerous. If they were caught, both she and Thompson would face serious consequences. During her next visit with Kira, Lisa shared what she had learned. "Your ship is 3 levels down in Hangar 7. Officer Thompson says it looks like it's been repairing itself." Kira's face lit up with the first real smile Lisa had seen from her. "That's how our ships work. They're designed to heal themselves when damaged. If it's been 6 months, it should be ready to fly." "But how do we get you out of here?" Lisa asked. "The containment field that keeps me trapped is controlled by computers. If someone could access the main system and shut it down, even for a few minutes, I could get out." Lisa felt a chill of fear. What she was considering was more than just helping someone escape. It was treason against her own government. But as she looked at Kira, weak and fading more each day, she knew she couldn't stand by and do nothing. "There's something else you need to know," Kira said quietly. "Dr. Reynolds isn't just studying my cells for science. He's been selling samples. 2 private companies. He's making money from my suffering." Lisa felt anger rising in her chest. "How do you know that?" "I can hear things that humans cannot. I've heard him talking on the phone, making deals. He's told his superiors that the research has been unsuccessful. But he's actually learned how to use my cells to create medicines that could help humans live much longer." This revelation made Lisa's decision easier. Dr. Reynolds wasn't just keeping Kira prisoner for research. He was profiting from her pain while lying to everyone about what he was doing. "I'm going to get you out of here," Lisa said firmly. "I don't know how yet, but I promise you, I will find a way." As Lisa left the facility that day, she knew there was no going back. She was committed now to helping Kira escape, no matter what the cost. The young woman from another dimension had become more than just a scientific curiosity. She had become a friend, and Lisa would do whatever it took to set her free. Lisa spent the entire weekend at home, staring at her laptop screen and trying to figure out how to help Kira escape. She had drawn maps of the facility on napkins, written down guard schedules, even researched the facility's computer systems. But no matter how she looked at it, the task seemed impossible. The facility was 7 levels underground, with multiple security checkpoints and cameras everywhere. Even if she could somehow get Kira out of her containment room, they would still need to reach Hangar 7 without being caught. And then there was the question of how to actually operate an alien spaceship. On Monday morning, Lisa returned to work with dark circles under her eyes and a growing sense of desperation. When she saw Kira during her lunch break, the young woman looked even weaker than before. "They took more samples this morning," Kira said, leaning against the wall of her containment room. "Dr. Reynolds said they need larger amounts for their next experiment." Lisa felt her heart sink. "How much more can your body handle?" "Not much," Kira admitted. "I can feel myself getting weaker every day. Oh, if I don't get back to my dimension soon, I won't survive much longer." That afternoon, Lisa made a decision that would change everything. She approached Officer Thompson while he was on duty near the elevator. "Can I talk to you?" she asked quietly. Thompson looked around to make sure no one was watching, then nodded. "What's on your mind, Doc?" "It's about Kira, the girl in the containment room." Thompson's expression grew serious. "I was wondering, when you'd bring her up? You've been asking a lot of questions about the facility layout lately?" Lisa felt a moment of panic. Had she been too obvious? "I just think what's happening to her is wrong." "You're not the only one," Thompson said. "I've been losing sleep over it. I became a security guard to protect people, not to help keep an innocent person locked up. What if I told you I had an idea about how to help her?" Thompson was quiet. "For a long moment, I'd say you'd be risking your career and possibly your freedom. But I'd also say, I'm listening." Lisa took a deep breath. "I need to know more about the facility's security systems. And I need to know when would be the best time to move around without being seen." "The night shift change happens at 2 a.m., Thompson said. "For about 15 minutes, there's always confusion as guards switch positions. That's when the cameras are most likely to have blind spots." "What about the computer systems that control the containment fields?" "There's a master control room on level 5, but it's always guarded, and you need special access codes to get in." Lisa felt discouraged. But Thompson wasn't finished. "However," he continued, "there's a maintenance access panel on level 6 that connects to the same systems. It's not guarded because most people don't know it exists. I only know about it because I helped install some equipment there last year. This was the break Lisa had been hoping for. Could you show me where it is? I could do more than that, Thompson said. I could help you access it. But you have to understand, if we get caught, we'll both go to prison. Lisa thought about Kira, growing weaker every day, and made her choice. I understand, but I can't. Just stand by and watch her die. Thompson nodded. Neither can I. Let's do this. Over the next few days, Lisa and Thompson worked together to gather the information they needed. Thompson used his security access to study the guard schedules and camera locations, while Lisa focused on understanding the computer systems that controlled the facility. She discovered that the containment fields were controlled by a central computer that reset itself every night at 2:15 a.m. If they could access the maintenance panel during that reset, they might be able to shut down Kira's containment field long enough for her to escape. But they also learned something that made their timeline much more urgent. Dr. Reynolds had scheduled a major procedure for the following Friday. He planned to extract a large portion of Kira's genetic material for a new experiment. He was conducting with a private pharmaceutical company. He's going to kill her, Lisa said when she read the procedure details. Her body can't handle that much trauma. Thompson looked grim. Then we have to move before Friday. That gives us 3 days to get everything ready. Lisa visited Kira that evening and explained the plan. The young woman listened carefully, asking questions about timing and routes through the facility. There's something I need to tell you, Kira said when Lisa finished. My ship isn't just a vehicle. It's connected to my life force. The longer I'm separated from it, the weaker I become. But if I can reach it, it will help me heal. How long? Do you think it would take you to get the ship ready to fly? It's been repairing itself, like Officer Thompson said. Only a few minutes. My people's technology is designed to respond to our thoughts and emotions. The ship will know I need to escape. Lisa felt a spark of hope. So if we can get you to Hangar 7, you can get yourself home? Yes, but there's something else. My ship's departure will create an energy pulse that will shut down all the facility's electronics for several minutes. This will give you and Officer Thompson time to get away safely. This was better than Lisa had hoped. Not only would Kira escape, but the electronic shutdown would buy them precious time to cover their tracks. On Wednesday night, Lisa and Thompson made their final preparations. They had mapped out the exact route from Kira's containment room to Hangar 7, identified the cameras they would need to avoid, and memorized the timing of the guard changes. You sure about this? Thompson asked as they reviewed their plan. One last time. I've never been more sure of anything in my life, Lisa replied. But their conversation was interrupted by an announcement over the facility's intercom system. All personnel report to the main conference room immediately. This is not a drill. Lisa and Thompson exchanged worried glances. Emergency meetings were rare at the facility, and the timing couldn't be worse. In the conference room, Dr. Reynolds stood at the front with a serious expression. We have a security concern, he announced. Someone has been accessing areas of the facility without proper authorization. You believe there may be an attempt to interfere with our research? Lisa felt her blood run cold. Had they been discovered? Effective immediately, all personnel will be subject to additional security screening, Dr. Reynolds continued. We will also be implementing new protocols for access to sensitive areas of the facility. As the meeting ended, Lisa caught Thompson's eye. He gave her a small nod, and she knew they were both thinking the same thing. They had to move tonight, before the new security measures made escape impossible. The plan changes, Thompson whispered as they left the conference room. We can't wait until Friday. It has to be tonight. Lisa felt fear and determination battling in her chest. They weren't as prepared as they had hoped to be, but they were out of time. If they didn't act tonight, Kira would die, and they might never get another chance. Tonight it is, she said. Die. As Lisa went home to prepare for what might be the most dangerous night of her life, she thought about Kira's words from their first meeting. Open the door, human. Set me free. Tonight, she would do exactly that, no matter what the cost. Lisa sat in her car outside the facility at 1:30 a.m., her hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly her knuckles had turned white. She had never done anything like this before. The most rebellious thing she had ever done was return a library. Book a day late. Now she was about to commit what the government would probably call treason. Her phone buzzed with a text from Thompson. "Ready when you are? Remember, we have a 15-minute window." Lisa took a deep breath and got out of her car. The night air was cold, and she pulled her jacket tighter as she walked toward the employee entrance. Her security card still worked, and she slipped. Inside, without any problems, the facility felt different at night. The hallways were dimly lit, and the usual hum of activity was replaced by an eerie quiet. Lisa could hear her own heartbeat as she made her way to the elevator. Thompson was waiting for her on level 5, dressed in his security uniform, but looking as nervous as she felt. "Any problems getting in?" he whispered. "None so far," Lisa replied. "What about the guards?" "I told Jenkins that I needed to do an extra security check on the lower levels. He's covering my post for 30 minutes. They moved quickly toward the maintenance access panel on level 6. Thompson had a small flashlight, but they tried to avoid using it unless absolutely necessary. The cameras in this area were older and had poor night vision, but they couldn't take any chances. The maintenance panel was hidden behind a false wall that looked like part of the corridor. Thompson pressed a hidden switch, and a section of the wall slid open, revealing a cramped space filled with computer equipment and wiring. "This is it," he said. "The containment controls are connected through these systems." Lisa squeezed into the space and found the computer terminal. Her hands were shaking as she typed in the commands she had memorized. The screen showed a map of the facility with different colored dots, representing the various containment fields. "There," she said, pointing to a red dot, "that's Kira's room." At exactly 2:15 a.m., the system began its nightly reset. Lisa watched the timer on the screen count down from 60 seconds. When it reached 0, she pressed the command that would shut down the containment field in Kira's room. "Outdone," she whispered. "The field is down for exactly 10 minutes before the backup system kicks in." Thompson was already moving. "Let's go get her." They rushed down the corridors to level 7 where Kira was being held. Lisa's heart was pounding so hard she was sure everyone in the building could hear it. They passed 2 cameras, but Thompson had timed their route perfectly too. Avoid the automatic sweeps. When they reached Kira's room, they found her standing by the door, ready to go. The moment the containment field had shut down, she had felt it. "I knew you would come," she said, stepping out of the room that had been her prison for 6 months. "We need to move fast," Thompson said. "We have 8 minutes to get to Hangar 7. Kira looked weaker than Lisa had ever seen her, but there was determination in her eyes. "I can make it," she said. They began the journey through the facility's lower levels. Thompson led the way, checking around each corner before motioning for them to follow. Lisa stayed close to Kira, ready to help if the young woman stumbled. Halfway to the hangar, they encountered their first problem. A security guard was making an unscheduled patrol of level 8, walking directly toward them. "This way," Thompson whispered, pulling them into a side corridor. They pressed themselves against the wall and held their breath as footsteps echoed past them. Lisa could feel Kira trembling beside her. Whether from fear or weakness, she couldn't tell. After what felt like hours, but was probably only 2 minutes, the footsteps faded away. They continued toward the hangar, but now they were behind schedule. 3 minutes left, Thompson said, as they reached the entrance to Hangar 7. The hangar was massive, with a ceiling that stretched up several stories. In the center of the space sat Kira's ship, and Lisa gasped when she saw it. It was beautiful, with smooth curves and a surface that seemed to shift and shimmer like liquid metal. It was about the size of a small airplane, but unlike any aircraft Lisa had ever seen. "It's magnificent," Lisa breathed. Kira smiled for the first time since they had started their escape. "It's my home," she said simply. As they approached the ship, something unexpected happened. The vessel began to glow with a soft, warm light, and a section of its hull opened without any visible mechanism. "It knows I'm here," Kira explained. "It's been waiting for me." But their moment of triumph was short-lived. The lights in the hangar suddenly blazed to life, and they heard the sound of multiple footsteps approaching. "Well, well, well," came a familiar voice. Dr. Reynolds stepped into view, flanked by 6 security guards. I had a feeling someone was planning something foolish. Lisa felt her heart sink. They had been so close. Dr. Wong Reynolds continued, I'm disappointed. I trusted you with important research, and this is how you repay that trust. You're the one who can't be trusted. Lisa shot back, finding courage she didn't know she had. You've been selling Kira's genetic material for profit while telling everyone the research was unsuccessful. Reynolds' face darkened. You don't understand the bigger picture. What we're doing here could benefit all of humanity. By torturing an innocent person? Thompson stepped forward. That's not the kind of benefit humanity needs. You're both naive, Reynolds said. This creature is not human. It's a resource, nothing more. Kira spoke up, her voice steady despite her weakness. I have a name. I have thoughts and feelings. I have a family who is waiting for me to come home. How does that make me different? From you, Reynolds ignored her. Guards, arrest Dr. Wong and Officer Thompson. Prepare the creature for immediate transfer to the high-security containment facility. As the guards moved forward, something extraordinary happened. Era closed. Her eyes and placed her hand on her ship's hull. Suddenly, every electronic device in the hangar began to flicker and spark. What's happening? One of the guards shouted as his radio started emitting static. The lights went out, plunging the hangar into darkness except for the gentle glow. Coming from Kira's ship, in the confusion, Lisa heard Thompson's voice. This is our chance. Get to the ship. Lisa grabbed Kira's arm and helped her toward the open hatch of the vessel. Behind them, she could hear Reynolds shouting orders and the guards stumbling around in the dark. I can't come with you, Lisa said as they reached the ship. This is your chance to go home. Kira turned to her with tears in her eyes. Thank you for giving me hope when I thought there was none left. I will never forget your kindness. Will I ever see you again? Lisa asked. My people will remember what you did, Kira said. We will return someday, but next time it will be as friends, not prisoners. Kira climbed into her ship, and the hatch sealed behind her. The vessel began to rise slowly, its glow intensifying. Lisa and Thompson backed away as the ship's energy field expanded. Stop them! Reynolds screamed, but his guards were powerless against technology they didn't understand. The ship rose through an opening in the hangar ceiling that Lisa hadn't noticed before. As it disappeared into the night sky, there was a brilliant flash of light, and every electrical system in the facility shut down. In the darkness that followed, Lisa heard footsteps running in all directions and voices calling out in confusion. The electronic locks on the doors had failed, the cameras had stopped working, and even the emergency lighting was dead. Time to go, Thompson whispered, taking Lisa's hand. They made their way through the darkened facility, guided only by the emergency exit signs that were powered by independent battery systems. By the time they reached the surface, they could hear sirens in the distance as backup power generators kicked in. Lisa looked up at the night sky, but Kira's ship was already gone, returned to whatever dimension she called home. She felt a mixture of sadness and relief. Kira was free, but Lisa knew that her own life would never be the same. No regrets? Thompson asked as they walked toward their cars. Lisa thought about everything that had happened, about the choice she had made to help someone who needed her, even when it meant risking everything she had worked for. None at all, she said. Lisa drove home through the empty streets, her hands still shaking from everything that had just happened. The radio was playing soft music, but she barely heard it. Her mind kept replaying the moment when Kira's ship had disappeared into the night sky, taking with it the young woman who had changed her life forever. When she reached her apartment, Lisa sat in her car for a long time, not wanting to go inside. She knew that once she walked through her front door, she would have to face the reality of what she had done. Tomorrow, there would be consequences. Tonight, she just wanted to hold on to the feeling of having done the right thing. Her phone rang at 6 a.m. It was Thompson. Have you seen the news? He asked, his voice tense. Lisa turned on her television and gasped. The story was everywhere. Government facility suffers massive power failure. Read the headline on the morning news. The reporter was standing outside the building where Lisa had worked for the past month. Officials say the facility experienced a complete electrical shutdown at approximately 3 a.m. this morning, the reporter was saying. While the cause of the failure is still under investigation, sources confirmed that no one was injured. There was no mention of Kira or the escape. Lisa realized that the government would never admit to the public that they had been holding an alien prisoner. "They're not saying anything about her," Thompson said over the phone. "They can't," Lisa replied. How would they explain what they were doing? But their relief was short-lived. At 8 a.m., there was a knock on Lisa's door. When she opened it, she found two serious-looking men in dark suits. "Dr. Wong, we're with the Department of Homeland Security. Need you to come with us." Lisa had expected this moment, but her heart still raced as she was escorted to an unmarked car. They drove to a government building downtown, where she was taken to a small, windowless room with just a table and 2 chairs. Dr. Reynolds was waiting for her, along with a woman Lisa didn't recognize. Reynolds looked tired and angry, while the woman appeared calm and professional. "Dr. Wong," the woman said, "I'm Agent Foster. We need to discuss what happened at the facility last night." "I don't know what you're talking about," Lisa replied, though she knew it was pointless to deny everything. Reynolds slammed his hand on the table. "Don't lie to us. We know you helped that creature escape. The security footage shows you and Thompson in areas where you had no business being." Agent Foster held up a hand to calm Reynolds. "Dr. Wong, we have evidence of your involvement in last night's incident. However, we're more interested in understanding why you did what you did." Lisa looked at both of them and made a decision. If she was going to face consequences for her actions, she might as well tell the truth. "Because what you were doing was wrong," she said firmly. "Kira is a person, not a laboratory specimen. She has thoughts, feelings, and the right to be free." "That thing is not human," Reynolds snapped. "It's an alien creature that could pose a threat to national security." "She's more human than you are," Lisa shot back. "At least she has compassion and empathy. All you cared about was making money from her suffering." Agent Foster leaned forward. "What do you mean by that?" Lisa saw an opportunity. "Dr. Reynolds has been selling Kira's genetic material to private companies while telling his superiors that the research was unsuccessful. He's been profiting from her imprisonment." Reynolds' face went pale. "That's not true." But Agent Foster was already making notes. "We'll be investigating these claims thoroughly. In the meantime, Dr. Wong, you're under arrest for treason and conspiracy." The next few months were the most difficult of Lisa's life. She was released on bail, but she couldn't work in her field anymore. The government had made sure that no research facility would hire her. Thompson faced similar charges, though as a security guard, his punishment was less severe. But something unexpected happened during their trial. Other employees from the facility came forward with their own stories about Dr. Reynolds' illegal activities. They had been too afraid to speak up before, but Lisa and Thompson's courage had inspired them to tell the truth. The evidence against Reynolds was overwhelming. Phone records showed his conversations with pharmaceutical companies, bank records revealed payments he had received, and computer files proved he had been conducting unauthorized experiments. 6 months after Kira's escape, Lisa sat in a courtroom as the judge read the verdict. Dr. Reynolds was found guilty of conducting illegal human experiments, fraud, and conspiracy. He was sentenced to 15 years in prison. Lisa and Thompson were found guilty of lesser charges, but the judge took their motivations into account. While the defendants broke the law, he said they did so to prevent a grave injustice. This court sentences them to community service and probation. As Lisa walked out of the courthouse, she felt a weight lift from her shoulders. She had lost her career, but she had gained something more valuable: the knowledge that she had stood up for what was right. Thompson was waiting for her on the courthouse steps. "So what do we do now?" he asked. "I'm thinking about starting a foundation," Lisa said. "Something that advocates for ethical treatment in scientific research." "That sounds like a good use of our experience," Thompson replied with a smile. That night, Lisa was at home reading, when something strange happened. She began to have vivid dreams, more like visions than regular dreams. In them, she saw Kira, healthy and glowing, surrounded by other beings who looked similar to her. They were in a place that seemed to exist, between the spaces of reality filled with impossible architecture and colors that had no names. In the vision, Kira turned to her and smiled. "Thank you," she said, though her lips didn't move. My people know what you did for me. We will remember. The vision showed Lisa a vast council of Kira's people discussing something in their musical language. Then she saw Earth from space, with streams of light connecting it to other dimensions. We will return, Kira's voice continued in her mind. But next time, we will come as friends. We will share our knowledge with those who, like you, understand that compassion is more important than fear. Lisa woke up feeling refreshed and hopeful in a way she hadn't felt in months. She couldn't be sure if the vision was real or just a dream, but it felt true in her heart. 2 years later, Lisa was running her foundation from a small office downtown when she received a call that changed everything. It was from a government official she had never met. "Dr. Wong," the voice said, "we have a situation that requires someone with your unique experience. We've received a signal from space, and we believe it's a communication attempt from an alien civilization. They're asking to speak with you specifically." Lisa's heart raced. "What kind of signal?" "It's in perfect English, and it contains information that only someone involved in the incident 2 years ago would know." The message simply says, "We have returned to speak with our friend Lisa Wong. We wish to establish peaceful contact with Earth." Lisa closed her eyes and smiled. Kira had kept her promise. "When do we meet?" Lisa asked. A week later, Lisa stood in a field in Nevada, not far from where the underground facility had been. The facility itself had been shut down permanently. After the scandal, but the desert around it remained unchanged. At exactly midnight, a soft light appeared in the sky. It grew larger and brighter until Lisa could see that it was a ship, similar to the one Kira had used to escape, but much larger. The ship landed silently, and a section of its hull opened. Kira stepped out, looking healthy and radiant. Her came several other beings, all with the same shimmering skin and silver hair. "Hello, my friend," Kira said, walking up to Lisa. "I told you we would meet again." Lisa felt tears in her eyes. "I never doubted it. My people have decided to share our knowledge with Earth," Kira continued. "But only with those who have proven they value life and freedom above power and profit. We want you to be our ambassador." Lisa looked at the beings who had come from another dimension, offering friendship and knowledge to a world that had once imprisoned one of their own. She thought about all the challenges that lay ahead, all the work that would need to be done, to build trust between two very different species. "I would be honored," she said. As the sun rose over the desert, Lisa sat with Kira and her people, learning about technologies that could heal the sick, clean the environment, and bring peace to a troubled world. It was the beginning of a new chapter for humanity, one that started with a simple act of kindness toward a stranger in need. The foundation Lisa had started grew into an international organization dedicated to fostering understanding between humans and their new alien allies. And every day, she remembered the moment when a frightened young woman had looked at her through a glass wall and asked for help. Sometimes, Lisa thought, the most important thing you can do is simply open the door when someone asks to be set free.